Good evening, everyone. It's Wednesday, November the 10th, and my name is Marlon Hill. I'm an attorney here in Miami and the proud communications chair of our Florida State University College of Law Black Alumni Network, the debut of BANtv, a series of online conversations that we will be having with some of our illustrious alumni, faculty, students, and friends of the Florida State University College of Law Black Alumni Network. We look forward to these conversations over the next few months. We're going to be doing them every second Wednesday at 7 p.m. And we have the great honor of having our first online conversation with our founding president, Salesia Smith Gordon, a graduate of our number one law school in the United States of America in 1992. She is live in her offices in West Palm Beach. We are stealing her away from her next trial in between vacation. Salesia, it is a great pleasure to have you here on BANtv.
Wow, my goodness, it's a great pleasure to be here. And I am so excited. I really am so excited about this launch of BANtv with Marlon Hill. Let's be clear about that. That's with you.
No, it's great to have you. And I know that you are a busy personal injury attorney there in West Palm Beach. We're going to get to that in a second, but you have to take us back a little bit, Salesia.
We want to know how to share this so people can share it with others. Okay.
So you can hear me, yes?
I can hear you. I think
Excellent.
I did it right.
So you got to take us back a little bit, Salesia, and tell us a little bit about the Smith family. Tell us a little bit about the Smith family journey. Take us back a bit.
Oh, the Smith family. Well, boy, that's a whole. Well, I'm the only girl. I have three brothers. Um, I am definitely a woman, a girly woman, but I guess I'm a little bit of a tomboy too. Raised pretty tough. My parents were loving parents, both very well educated. My mother is an alumnus of FSU College of Law. She is a band member as well. I believe we were the first African American mother-daughter to graduate from FSU College of Law.
Extraordinary story. Extraordinary story. Definitely want to get her on BANtv one of these days. So the family's from what state? And where did you grow up?
I am a Floridian. Yes, believe it or not. I was born in Tampa, in Ybor City specifically. That's where our family is from. Family is still there in Tampa and Ybor City. I'm here in West Palm Beach. Brothers are like spread out at different places. Walter is in Tampa. He's my little brother, but he's a lot bigger than me. Johnny is in God only knows where. He's a higher officer, general in the military. I think he just retired, supposedly. And then my brother Andre is in construction, and he's in Tallahassee.
So what number were you in that?
I'm number two.
Oh, you're number two. Okay.
I'm number one. Let's just be clear about that. Okay. But I'm number two in the pecking order of age.
So if your brothers were here today on this BANtv, how would they describe you as a younger sister?
Ooh. Probably just like one of them. Um, you know, I wasn't one to play with dolls. I was a sports person. I played sports. I still play sports. I was the only girl on an all-boys soccer team in sixth grade in Massachusetts. So that gives you a little bit about who I am. I played tennis. I'm a water sports person. The College of Law termed me a risk taker. And I think that is probably pretty accurate, but I will add that I'm a calculated risk taker. And that's an important difference.
Definitely want to dig into that a little bit as an attorney being a calculated risk taker. So one of your first risks, I don't know if it's a risk, but you headed to the highest of hills in Tallahassee after high school in Tampa. Tell us about that decision and why Florida A&M.
Well, the reason Florida A&M was twofold, really. One is because while in high school, I worked at the College of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences as a research assistant. And I did that from ninth grade on. So I was already ingrained in that area of science. I had already, by the time I graduated from high school, I had a lot of credits, of college credits. And the second reason is that my father was president of a university at FAMU at the time. So all of us, all of the Smith children,
Right.
including my father, are graduates of FAMU. So we are orange and green, and we are garnet and gold.
So, Salesia, that's like going to church and your father is the pastor. What was
Yeah.
that like going to FAMU with your dad as president of the university?
Um, Challenging on one hand. Uh, that's probably in one word, a little challenging. A little challenging.
Challenging because you
Because
felt
you live in
him
a
watching,
fishbowl.
or challenging because the expectation?
Both,
Both.
both. And that's a lot of pressure on a kid. And but hey, I made it through it.
You
Sometimes
made it through. You made it
sometimes
through.
you can't go around things. Sometimes you cannot go around it. You just got to go through it. And as long as you can come out through it and can come out smiling and make friends, have positive memories, I think that we're doing okay.
So, Salisa, you chose to be a scientist, a pharmacist. How did that choice come about, and what drew you to the world of pharmacy?
Um, that was back in ninth grade. I've always, I don't know. I honestly don't know how to answer that question. I was drawn to it. I was good academically. I liked the sciences, the hard sciences, and fell in love with doing research. I actually performed research with those people who were getting degrees. I was a research assistant. I was still in high school. Actually, I think ninth grade was junior high, um, and all the way through high school. I got to present, had the occasion to help present in Washington D.C. and other places of the research that we were doing. At that time, it was on cadmium and the effects of cadmium to the human system. And so it was just my calling
Right. So,
there.
on campus, how involved were you, and what outside of the classroom, what were you involved with?
I pledged. Well, back then we pledged. Yeah, I pledged.
And who did you make your pledge to?
Oh yes, that was Alpha Kappa Alpha. Hello, that was Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. This year, on the 20th of November, I will be, I think it's 37 years.
Mm,
37 years. So I'm a life member. I'm a Silver Star. I have been very active. I still am active with AKA, and I'm very proud of it. Other than that, that's it. That's all you really have time for in pharmacy school. It's much like law school in terms of being very disciplined. You are there and you're there to get a job done. You don't have time, a lot of time to do anything else.
right. So, if your sorors were here, they would say you were that soror that.
Whew, Lord, I talked to them last week. So what would they say? I was the Sarah that was disruptive. I would probably say disruptive in various forms. I would try to keep things light. I would study. Uh,
Okay.
we had stuff to do. Um, but I'm the Sarah who keeps connected.
And what was your line name?
I don't remember that. Conveniently so.
We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out. So, after FAMU, you have this pharmacy degree, and you said to yourself, "What's next?"
Well, for me, it was more likely going to be either veterinary medicine or med school. Um, I'm an animal lover. I still am an animal lover. I rescue animals of all sorts, as long as they have legs, fins, or feathers.
Whoa,
Um,
what was the last animal you rescued?
a horse.
A
So,
horse.
horse, yes, Ozzy. So, yeah, Ozzy boy. Yeah. So right now, I only have a cat. one cat, one feline left. Samantha passed, but my animals tend to live a long time, very long. And I treat them like, my husband says, I treat them like a human being. And they're my
Wow.
pookies. They're my pookies. Have
So
little
listen,
pookies
you're
and big
supposed to be
pookies.
working with a hospital or one of the pharmacy chains. When did you decide that this law school journey took a turn? How did
It
that
was
come about?
it was a Sunday afternoon. My mom called me. I was working as a pharmacist in Orlando, and she asked me simply, "Hey, I remember it's one of these Jerry-isms. That's what I call her, a Jerry." My mom said,
Jerry-isms?
"It's a Jerry-ism,"
Uh-oh.
and she said, "I know you better than you know yourself. I've thought about this long and hard, and I think that you should go to law school. So I want you to take the LSAT." Being an obedient child,
Was that a was that a suggestion or a statement?
from it's a Jerryism. That means you're going to do this. Okay, that's what that means. And I said, okay. And I took it. I, I suppose I did well. Took it once, was admitted. And
Right.
today I'm sitting here before you.
Wow. How many law schools did you apply to, and how did you make a decision? One law school. And what was so special about this singular decision? That was a calculated risk, Salesia. That was a calculated risk.
Yes,
Why only one?
only one, because my mom was a graduate of FSU, and I want to follow in her footsteps. And that it was as I tell people all the time, I wish I could say something more, more sexy about it, more pronounced about it. I was an obedient child, and I took my mother's word that this would be a better calling for me. And I think she was right.
Wow. That is calculated risk number
And I wasn't
one.
even a child. God, I was good and grown. I was a
Absolutely.
pharmacist.
You arrived on campus to law school. What was your impression? Did were your expectations? What were your expectations when you got there first?
I didn't have any. I really didn't have any. I had been to the law school because my mother was a graduate. She graduated, I believe, in 82. No, 81. And maybe 81 or 82. And I really didn't. I didn't have any expectations. I knew
But
some of the
with your
professors.
mom being a lawyer or graduated from Florida State, you must have been absorbing her energy and her experience as a
You know,
mom and daughter, right?
that is probably so. And what the irony of that is this. When we are learning, as I call it, by osmosis, those things those intangibles that you don't even realize that you are learning, um, you don't realize that you're learning. It's part of who you are. It's part of the conversations that you have every day. Much
Right.
like some of your classmates were sitting at the table with Uncle Senator or, Uncle Speaker, and that was just normal. That's not something they needed to study. It was something that was part of their daily existence.
Hmm.
And so those things that I intangibly learned from my mother in terms of owning a business, running a law firm, um, the practice of law, going to the courthouse, interacting with judges, what a pleading was,
Hmm.
what a hearing, what a motion, what's a deposition. I didn't realize that I knew at least some aspects of those things. Now,
Right.
seeing it and doing it are two different things, as you know.
Right. But the familiarity is one step closer, right?
Yes, that's
So
right.
did you have any Jerryisms for your first year?
Hold on. I hear somebody in the building. Okay. Jerryisms the first year. Um, I probably, yeah, I did. uh, I wanted, yeah, I did. One was sit your butt down and do your work. That's, that's just a Jerryism.
Sit your butt down and do your work.
Sit your butt down and do your work. Yeah.
So what was your favorite? What was your first favorite course first year? What did you gravitate to?
Um, Probably, I'd like to answer this one in this aspect of what I remember the most. I had a professor, and I graduated in '92, so I think he was still there. That was Professor McHugh.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah. And he, I learned a lot from the experience of contract law with him.
Mm.
Um, Good, bad, and indifferent. But I learned a lot. He um, he taught me, understand that I came from the science background. So as a scientist, I was coming in from what's right, what's wrong. There was no
Mm.
in between. Either your
Right.
calculations were right or they were wrong. It's not, you can't be a little pregnant. It's either right or wrong, right? And so for law school, it was very challenging for me the first year, and probably thereafter too, but definitely the first year, to understand that there was one way, another way, and somewhere in between that's gray. That
Right.
was very foreign to me, extremely foreign. I remember being in torts. Oh, what was his name? I can see him. Who was our torts professor?
Um,
Um,
yeah, I can see him too.
Earhart taught evidence, torts. Oh God, I can see him. Very tall man. And I remember I was sitting in the front row, and Professor, it had come to me. And I said, what's the answer? Because I was used to having a
The
real
answer.
answer, right? And I remember being laughed at, and I was in the front row.
Being
And
in the front row is another calculated risk, Salesia.
I was probably late, so honestly, so. But oh gosh, I'm so sorry I can't remember his name. I can see him though. Um, but that was another experience learned. And so all of these little micro experiences roll together into one ball to help
Right.
formulate who you are.
Is there anything about being a scientist or a pharmacist that helped you in your first year or second year?
Yeah, I think it did a lot. I think the my method of studying, um, I would say that probably helped me more for bar preparation than anything,
Mm.
because there is what you know, and then there is what the answer of the person who devised the test wants you to know, and they
Right.
may be two different things. And so it's for pharmacy very similarly. It's knowing how to take a test.
Mm. So, Salisa, our black law students, black lawyers, our numbers are not where we expect them to be, and we are going to be doing our part to change that as BAN. What was it like being a black law student at Florida State? Good, bad, or indifferent. What was your experience at that time?
We had, if I remember correctly, Marlon, we had nine. I had nine classmates. We had nine total. Uh, um, and so we were really, really small group. Um, it was not unlike others. It was unlike FAMU, where I had attended college. I mean, and got my pharmacy degree. But I had, growing up, been the only black in the entire school, including janitors and everybody else, maintenance people.
Right.
So I was very comfortable weaving through being the only or being one of the few. Um, and in law school, all you're trying to do, other than absorb what you're doing and passing, and is trying to find some grounding, some footing
Right.
where you have some comfort to breathe. And that was just not one of the hurdles that I really felt that I had
Do you think
to
that FAMU gave you a firm sense of self? So when you got to Florida State, it really wasn't about you.
No, it wasn't about me at Florida State at all. It was about getting in and getting out. Let me just be real about that. I
Yeah.
was getting in, getting out, and passing the bar. Um, I think my parents and my grandparents, I'm fortunate to have known my great grandmother and spent time with her, even as an adult. My great grandmother even met my husband, and I
Wow.
didn't get married till I was 36 years old.
Wow.
So I think my ancestors, so to speak, gave me that sense of self and that
Mm.
sense of confidence. Yeah.
So did the Black law students at Florida State, did the Curious Nine stick together? Tell us a little bit about that.
I think we did in a lot of respects. There was Horace Brocknax, Tony, Jeff, Desiree Jackson. There were so few of us that yeah, you do. We didn't necessarily study together all the time,
Hmm.
um, but we knew, and we would acknowledge each other. We would get together just as BALSA students. We would get together with other BALSA classes, whether it's the 3L or the 2Ls. And I'm still friends with some now, like Bernadette Norris Weeks. Uh,
Yeah.
um, but when you graduate and you move on, I really did not stay in touch with probably most people. And that is something that I am now as president of BAN trying to correct. I try to recharge,
Yeah.
reconnect, to reinvigorate, um, and in a different posture. Yeah.
So, so when did you choose the path of becoming a personal injury attorney? How did that, who inspired you to take that path as a litigator?
Probably, again, my mom, but it was horned. My mom inspired me. My background inspired me. It was the natural way of going. I knew that I did not want to do patent law. Just shoot me dead. It was just, I'm not a transactional. I mean, I do transact, but no, that's just not who I am in that kind of environment. But it was my now husband who helped hone in those skills. He had worked in the industry, and it was a huge help for me to understand the various variables that go into being a personal injury lawyer. And then there are different styles of personal injury lawyers. You have large groups, you have large corporations, you have the defense, you have the plaintiffs, you have
Right.
small firms, and I have always been a solo. And so I was a solo. I opened up and hung my shingle as soon as I got sworn into the bar.
Wow. And what has that been like for the last 20 years, running your own shop,
Absolutely. I'm
managing,
still, I'm
balancing?
I'm still here at work in my building, and there's somebody else in here. I don't know. I would yell if I wasn't live. Find out who's here. Um, I love what I do. I
Wow.
must say I do.
What's the biggest challenge for you as the CEO of your own law firm?
Time management.
Mm. Time management in terms of balancing being a wife, taking care of yourself, and practicing. What's the biggest challenge with time?
Well, time management, just like probably every other person who's watching, who will watch in the future. We have so many different roles that we fill. So yes, those wife, lawyer, church member, but a myriad of things that we do in the civic community, in the professional community, in the social community. You still have friends that you must engage in, and
Right.
sometimes it's just um, a bit out of balance, but that is kind of temporary. I try to do what I call make things harmonious.
Mm.
Balance is always in a state of flux. I have a lot of scales here. The scales here represent pharmacy and represent law. So
Ah.
I collect scales. And but when there's harmony, meaning when there is a situation where what we're doing with BAN also helps with promoting others in their endeavors, promoting their law practices so that they have a leg up if they're a writer, a publisher. We celebrate those things. That works together. That
Mm.
becomes harmonious. That same person may have insider information of something, a referral for me or case information for me to help another person. That's harmonious. It's a network of matters and a network of people who are reliable at different phases of life.
Salesia, you're going to be celebrating your 30th year in practice next year. It's a big, big year. Um,
Yeah.
so I wanted to ask you if you could go back and speak to that law student, Salesia, pharmacy. What would you tell her now, later what would you say to her?
I I would say to that person, know your why. Write it down. And it's okay if it changes. But start and write it down, because there will be times where you're going to say, shut the front door. Why am I doing this?
Mm,
And and if you can go back to your why, not somebody else's why,
right.
but your why, you will pick up that energy again, and it gives you something to hold on to say, okay, I'm going to move forward.
So what is your personal why, and why do we need BAN?
Okay, well, those are two different questions there.
There are.
So my personal why of being a lawyer was my mother, and I trusted my mother, and
We're
I
gonna
knew
get the
that
T-shirt, by the way, the Jerryisms.
the Jerry is, oh good Lord, I've got quite a few of them. They just come when I hear it in my head. You ever hear your mom in your head talk to you?
All
And
the time. It's
okay,
like a
you got it.
book.
Okay, so whatever your mom's name is, that's an ism. That becomes okay,
Yvonneism.
the Yvonneism. Um, but why ban? So ban, um, I think that by nature, and it's interesting because as we grow older, we look, and COVID definitely, I think, was a catalyst to having many people look inward at who they are, where their time is spent, what's of value to them, what's of importance to them, and who is of importance to them.
Right.
And so Ben really came about, and I must give the credit to Jasmine Henderson, who apparently spoke first to Dean O. I call her Dean O because it's Aaron O'Hara O'Connor, so the double O, so Dean O. And who I had spoken to Dean O. Kareem had spoken to Dean O separately. Mind
Right.
you, the three of us who are the three founders did not know each other. Well, I think Jasmine and Kareem might have known each other, but we didn't know each other. We
Wow.
didn't meet. We collaborated as we are doing now during COVID. And it wasn't until we decided to meet in Tampa last year to take some photos that we actually met in person. So there were three people with a symbiotic mission, but different goals within that mission. And so talking about it, collaborating about it, we're funneling that mission and those goals of all three of us,
Mm,
and have included you, Conti, who's, Alicia, Saya, GC, and many other leaders, Takesha, Nakasha, Natasha, Pat down in Miami, in Tampa. So just a lot of people realized that there was indeed a missing cohesiveness, that
hmm
we saw other alumni who did not look like us, didn't have the same hue, and how well they work together. Because you see, relationships are built upon relations.
hmm
And so if we don't have relations, we are not connected to each other. Relationships aren't formed and built. So when we see how they are, other people and other cultures are collaborating and doing things together, progressing together as a unit of various things, that we needed to take heed. And this happened to all culminate during the George Floyd unrest.
mm,
And we realized that if we, as full-fledged adults, were having challenges about feeling where we belonged, we had unrest going to, well, I'm the boss here, but others who had unrest about going to work or going to the courthouse or going someplace, knowing that life was not the same as it was before this death, but others were walking around like it was. We knew that the law students likely had some of those same issues, and we needed to be able to, we wanted, the three of us, that was one of the things together. We wanted to be able to be there in some respect for them, to
yeah.
let them know that they were not alone. See, these students come from all over the United States.
hmm
Many have no family in
Yeah.
Tallahassee.
It's a
Many
support
have,
system. So why is it so important to cultivate these relationships for us, but also for the broader law school community?
because we need it. You cannot, I don't find that you can do anything and be successful alone. And you need someone as a role model, or someone, even if you're not touching them, but somebody you can see and you believe that, okay, I can go to them when I
Mm,
need. I can I can get a nod to say, all right, we got each other. You can say things, and we have a knack for doing it without words.
yeah. So Salisa, you are setting the standard. You are building the culture of the Black Alumni Network for the law school. Tell us a little bit about what does success look like for you?
Well, success for me um, is one of service. It's one of service. And I say that wholeheartedly. Now, service doesn't mean you give away the farm for free.
Right.
Okay, let's be clear about that. But it's still serving a higher good than just for yourself or your immediate family. I grew up knowing that it took a village. I grew up in Ybor City, in our street. When we were kids, we could play hopscotch, we could play stickball in the street, we could play, yeah, you remember those? Four square? Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Um, and so, if Miss Maddie told you not to do something, you better not do it. Because if you did and you got in trouble, you got in trouble with Miss Maddie, but you also got in trouble at home.
Right.
And so it those people who cared, truly cared, is what I want to leave for others. That would be success for me, to make a
Mm.
difference in other people's lives, which is what I try to do here in my personal injury practice every single day.
What are some of the components of this support system that you endeavor to build for BAN?
Well, um, first, let's understand what the mission of BAN is. Okay, and that is to recruit, retain, and be a resource for the Black law students, for faculty, and for staff,
Mm-hmm.
and for each other as alumni. We, meaning Blacks, I pulled some stats because I wanted to know. I know we just did a census. So, um, according to, in August 10th, the American Bar Association did a legal study and found out that, of course, we know that with the population, U.S. population of 336 million U.S. citizens, 1.3 million are lawyers. Of that 1.3 million who are lawyers, as Black Americans, those who are identifying as being Black or African Americans, has gone down from 4.8 to 4.7%. You may not think that's a big difference, but that's a huge, huge difference.
Yeah.
And and so when we are talking about being a regression of Black lawyers, especially in this whole environment of constitutional change. And constitutional change, whether it's politics, everything surrounds politics, but whether it's getting into law school, whether it's business entities, whether it's immigration matters, whether it's um, the environment, we make up and we are impacted, but we
Mm.
don't have advocates. If we don't have advocates in our community to help us, um, then we in real bad shape.
Yeah, we're in bad shape for sure. So these relationships become important for us to change that the trajectory of those numbers.
Yes.
Um, so let me ask you, Salisa, so as the founding president of BAN, which I'm a proud member of, I really want to thank you for your leadership. But before we ask you to tell us what can we do for you, Madam President, first I need to ask you, what can we do for you, Attorney Salesia Smith Gordon? What can we do to uplift your professional life, your personal life? What can we do to support you?
Well, as a personal injury lawyer, I'm a litigator. I handle an array of PI cases. With my background in pharmacy, I can understand the complex medical issues that pertain to every personal injury case, most of which is medical. So if anyone has a personal injury or wrongful death matter or prescription error matter, I hope that they give me a call, contact me. I'm here to help. I do. If you're a lawyer, I give referral fees, and we do really well. I'm good at what we
Statewide, nationally?
yeah, yeah. I'm more state. I rarely do things nationally. Um, I have I have handled cases outside as pro hoc vice, and I do handle federal matters. So we have been very, very blessed, and I'm very grateful as it's Thanksgiving time for the clients over the years that I've served, and I will continue to serve.
Give me an
And those,
example. Give me an example of a case that you're thankful and proud of.
oh goodness, there's several. One that recently got national attention that Sarah Baker Barnes, who is a band member and on the board, and I handled together. And in that case, the Kadar Williams case, where we not only had a remarkable settlement recovery of $2 million for him, it was the remarkable part, the sad part, it's a death case. And it's a death case of a child who choked to death while at school who was autistic.
Wow.
That should not have happened because precautions should have been in place to prevent it. The positive of it is that we were able to make policy changes within the county. And we hope to have those policy changes extended into the state. And that is so that there's proper training, so that this type of occurrence in choking for those people who are autistic or otherwise um, um, challenged with
Right.
swallowing don't have the same kind of fate. But, a settlement is one thing that may change that particular issue, the entity that may change that. It is a transactional for one person. Changing policy is a transaction for the whole community. And I'm proud of
Congratulations to you and Sia for that verdict. And how can we support you as president in your inaugural year? What's your big ask of the band
it.
community?
I've got two huge asks. And and I say huge because people think that I have no more time in the day. There's only 24 hours and I'm tapped out already. But what I ask is for you to integrate the time that you are already spending in service to help others and see how that can influx and be engaging with band. Because some of those people or organizations or whomever the audience is locked into, those students or those people, they may be full-fledged adults, may have a desire to go to law school. So the law school has what's called a view book. And that view book has, and it's online, it was in our it was in our newsletter. I will make sure that it's on the BAN web page. But that view book has some great information and insight on why it's important to definitely consider attending FSU College of Law. So that's engagement. With that engagement, we want to round it out for the person so that they are not just serving and helping somebody else, that they get something. It's what's in it for me.
Right.
They'll get something back. And what they'll get back from being engaged is if you're a writer, we publish you. Or if you're not, then that's fine. We spotlight you. If you're a writer and you're an author and you've published other kinds of books, it doesn't matter what it is. We want to know. We want to know the successes of others so that whether it's traditional law or non-traditional areas of law, whether it's business practice and it has nothing to do with law whatsoever, but you've used your legal skills to advance you in other areas. Because it's so wide, law and being a graduate of law gives you options. If
Yeah.
nothing else, it gives you options. So we want to be able to engage and see what those options are and
Okay.
how we can help each other. The second big ask is that you financially help, because it's not helping the organization itself, but it's going into a foundation. It is committed. We don't have anybody handling cash. It goes to the foundation so that students and faculty and staff, things that we want to do to retain, recruit, and develop that kind of cohesiveness at the College of Law, that's what the funds will go towards. But we need to get it so that we can do an endowed fund, so that we can have endowed scholarships in perpetuity. Many of the scholarships that were in force when many of us were in law school for Black students are no longer in existence.
Right.
So we're trying to bridge that gap.
So two big asks: engagement of your time and engagement of your treasure. Give us
Yes.
a sneak peek before, as we draw to a close here on our inaugural episode of BANtv. Give us a sneak peek. 2022. What can we look forward to from BAN? What? Give us a sneak peek behind the tea leaves.
Well, for the first part of 2022, we just had 2 days ago Desmond Meade speak with us, who is one of Times Magazine's most 100 influential people, and the
Outstanding conversation.
yes, outstanding conversation of author of Let My People Vote. Uh, Coming 2022, we will have other speakers, financial planners, investment information, so that even as law students or as educators, we all need a little help in learning how to do and what to do with our money, what the options are. You know, people think lawyers make a lot of money. Well, some of us, some do and some don't. But no matter what you make, my grandfather always said, it's not what you earn, it's what you keep.
Absolutely. Salesia Smith Gordon, Madam President, my leader for the next year. We so appreciate you stepping up to the plate and leading the charge in planting the seeds of this network. We want to encourage everyone to subscribe to our newsletters, subscribe to our network. Please follow us on social media, FSUCOL BAN, Black Alumni Network. If you want to be a part of this community, we welcome you. Whether you look like us or you of us or for us, we want you to be a part of this community. Our number one law school, Florida State University, garnered and gold.
That's right.
We want to welcome you to be a part of our community because it's all about engagement. It's all about building a support system for our law students, for our faculty, and of course, for our alumni. Please join us next month, the second Wednesday. Look forward to the notification of our next special guest here on BANtv, our monthly online conversations. And we had our president, Salesia Smith Gordon, bless us with her presence to kind of splash her holiness for BANtv, inaugurating us in her office. We want to wish you the best success and keep listening to those Jerryisms.
Oh gosh, I can't help it. I am so proud of you, Marlon. Thank you so much for this is your brainchild. Um, and I'm so glad that you're a part of the board of this inaugural board. And hey, I will tune in. You can bet on that one.
Thank you so much. So, is there a last Jerryism to take us out?
Um, know your worth and your value.
Mm,
Keep moving forward, and all will be fine.
excellent. Well, listen, everyone, thank you for tuning in. Please have a blessed Thanksgiving with your families and continue to be safe and healthy. We look forward to speaking with you and connecting with you and engaging with you next month, second Wednesday, 7 p.m. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Good night.